Freddy The Eighth. We are back.
That's not 6 to go. Play on.
Come on.
Bang. See you later, champ.
Call an ambulance. Still going. Katoni Staggs. Happy's on his way again.
Sidestep him, Cole. He's on the ground.
Oh, go, Freddy.
What's going through his brain?
Oh, Andrew Jordan. What has happened there? Oh, wow. Big Papa.
Stop it. He's taking the mickey.
I'd like to see that again.
I've got nothing. Wow.
Wowee, there it is.
Hello there, welcome to this week's episode of Freddy and the Eighth, brought to you by a brand new sponsor, Mazda. Great to have them on board for Freddy and the Eighth from this week. Gentlemen.
Brookvale Mazda. We used to drive a Brookvale Mazda around. Hello, Joe.
CX-9, they were awesome cars.
Kicking goals, you two, with sponsors coming on board.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Not anymore.
You better behave, son.
Big show today. Joey's going to name his Origin team, final New South Wales team. Few changes, few selections still up in the air. You're scratching your head. You don't know what's going to happen this weekend, so we'll get some thoughts
just quickly
from you.
9 new clusters, 9 new cases. The cluster in Melbourne. Is there any chance?
No, I think if anything, they
Fly
would
in,
use fly in, fly out. So I'm sure they've thought about that. And
What then happens to people who've bought their ticket?
yeah, absolutely. That's these are things that will unfold over the next. So we've still got 5 days till we pick the team, and then 10 days. They're still over 2 weeks. So, you know, with the job they've been doing over the last 12 months, I think it should be under control by then.
All right, before we get into the nitty-gritty, a few questions, in fact a lot. Where's Brace? So I thought I'll address them. Brace can't have weekends off because he's hosting the footy. So he's having a few days off during the week over the last few weeks with his beautiful wife Margot and his daughter Matilda, and their family is expanding in the next couple of weeks as well. So Brace has been getting some home duties done during the week, which is why I've been keeping the
Brace
check.
married to Margot Robbie?
No, but
Better.
Margot Bracey,
Better.
very attractive lady.
Yeah. And nice.
Lovely.
Fellas, we don't need to be commenting on James's wife.
I've known Margot
Seriously.
for many, many years. She knows the context in which I say that. But Brace is going to be back next week.
Mate,
She seen you out late at night, Margot?
Mate, please.
Look at Mazda just disappeared off the screen.
Yes.
It's gone already.
You're going to have to hand your hire car back if you keep that up. But Brace is going to come back next week. So there you go. Boys, Indigenous round. Cannot wait. One of the features of the season each year. Now, you've got the Knights Indigenous jersey for this week. It's one of the great parts of the game, the Indigenous strips.
They've done a great job.
year.
The Indigenous game at the start of the season's been it's been fantastic. I love the jerseys. They've had they've had some failures, mind you, but they've had some great jerseys. So give us a look at that one. Show us.
So that Newcastle jersey is designed by an Aboriginal artist called Tyler Smith in collaboration with Connor Watson, Edric Lee and Gemmet Shibasaki, and the design incorporates the local landscape of Newcastle and the wider region, and also has the handprints of those 3 players on it. But each team will have an Indigenous jumper with a different story.
They're nice.
Just like these
Yes.
babies.
Have a look at them.
Focus in on those.
What are you going to do? Are you
I'm going to keep them. No, I'm going to keep them for sure. I
Going
asked
to go to the nightclub with
the
those?
guy that, maybe, the guy that
They're great.
painted these, Darren Dunn, I asked him, I said, why don't you pick a charity, your favourite Indigenous charity? He goes, no, if I paint them for you, you've got to keep them. So I sat down and spoke about, you know, my family and what I like to do and my junior club and stuff like that. And so he painted them. He actually did a big painting for me a few years ago. It's incredible.
Seen that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. So check it out, Darren Dunn.
As in, like, how do you explain that? How do you explain Aboriginal painting dots? And
Mate, the painting he did is about probably 1
Did he do
metre
it in
by
that,
1 metre.
the dots?
Yeah, with the dots.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it look like you?
No, but same thing. It went through, you know, I love surfing, the ocean, Cessnock Goannas, my junior team, you know, the different kids and stuff like that. Mate, it's incredible.
Fascinating the way it's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of Indigenous footballers, not the best, your favourite Indigenous players of all time, boys, and you've picked out players that you've played with, former teammates.
That's right. I went back to Penrith, had a young fella named Matt Singh come along and learned a few lessons off Matt Singh on and off the field. He's such a really lovely fella, quiet bloke. He was a real athlete. I mean, he was strong. When blokes were still carrying a bit of pudding, he was ripped to shreds, Matt Singh. The one thing he did more than just about anyone I've ever known was save tries.
Oh, the best.
He had that strength that players are only sort of had over the last half a dozen years. Where
How would you describe that strength?
Oh, just natural, just balance.
Yeah.
And super fella.
I'll tell you what, when he put a Queensland jumper on,
Oh, yeah.
he was an absolute Superman, wasn't he?
Like a Dane Gagai, just go to another level. So, Matt Singh, he was a real good fella and a great footy player and just good person on and off the field.
This will come as no surprise to Newcastle fans who you've picked.
Owen Craigie, the most naturally talented player I've ever played with. Debuted at 17 and was just a sensation. And just great fella, Owen, but just had so much skill and could make, watch this, he's right-footed, look at that left foot chip over the top. He's one of those players, Indigenous players, where the ball used to bounce into his hands. I don't know what it is. The ball would bounce and we'd all run that way and Owen would run the other way and the ball would bounce his way. Freakish talent, great fella. He's doing a lot now in the community called Chasing the Energy, which is really good stuff, Owen. So I'll see you up there in a couple of weeks, mate. You go see.
What did he play in, 97 or 2001?
97.
In 97 he played, yeah. I'm just trying to think. He may have debuted in 95.
Wow.
He was 17. Just turned 17, mate. What a player.
What about most exciting Indigenous players? I've just put a few on the paper.
Greg Inglis.
Nathan Blacklock. Preston Campbell.
Andrew Walker.
Laurie Daly.
Andrew Walker was one of my favourites.
Oh, couldn't he kick a ball, mate? Wow. There was a trial match we played and so there's the sideline. So the ball come back for the last tackle and hit the ground. He picked it up. They were chasing him. He ran. He kicked it here. The ball went out around the outside, bounced, and then went out. It was one of the best kicks I've ever seen in my whole life.
Freak.
Amazing.
One of Gus's favourites. Might ask Gus about that on the podcast. Actually, loves Andrew Walker.
He'll remember the kick. The kick was unbelievable.
So part of the Indigenous Round celebration, we've put together a very special piece this weekend with Jonathan Thurston at Uluru. So keep an eye out for it as you watch 9 across the weekend. Some great games. We'll talk a bit about those shortly. Before we get into yes or no with your buzzers, some big breaking news this afternoon. George Williams has been released by the Canberra Raiders effective immediately. He's been homesick and asking for a release for a number of weeks. The club has said that the relationship has become untenable because he refused to turn up to training this afternoon and wasn't going to play on the weekend.
Wow.
He must have been in some real mental fatigue where he just wanted to get home for whatever reason. So, look, well done to the Canberra Raiders. They could have dug their heels in, but I'd say George Williams' well-being, I could imagine if you're not going to training, you must be in all sorts. So I think his partner is pregnant, his wife or partner is pregnant again. They had a small bub.
So you think something like this could go one of two ways. It might get a distraction out of the way and Canberra can focus again, or it might have some further negative implications.
Well, they've got a tricky game. They're up against Parramatta, who are coming off a loss. And
No, the Roosters.
Oh, Roosters, sorry. Also coming off a loss. So a little bit under strength too, the Roosters. There's an opportunity for them to sort of jump on the back of this and, like you said, make it a turning point.
Yeah.
Or...
Give you an excuse not to play well. I've got to say, well done to the Raiders. Big decision.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
Very selfless.
So
I've got
they're
to
in the
say
market.
Sam Williams.
Yeah.
Sam Williams, yeah. He went good last week.
He always goes good.
Yeah, good player.
But there's another club in the market for a playmaker. There's a few of them around. Indeed. Yes or no? Buzzer time. I love it when you bring props in, boys.
You want to sit him over here? Let's sit him here, big boy.
Now, so do you
I want
hold...
you to
What
slip on
happens
your
here?
boots.
Do you
No,
hit...
we just go yes or no.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
we'll get it going.
Is there a yeah, no?
Reece Walsh is going to terrorise the Broncos for the next 10 years.
That was a good yeah.
Hard to believe I let him
Burping.
go.
Why, Delilah?
Who's he remind you of? A young
Kalen.
kid bursts onto the... Yeah.
A smaller version of Kalen or Sean Johnson. He's got dynamite in his feet. And you know what else? He's got something about him, a bit of
Swagger.
swagger.
How do you
He's got
notice the swagger? Like, swagger works.
He's got that... I don't know, he's got that...
What context?
He's got that...
Well, you know he's confident.
He's got the superstar qualities. You can see it. He's got that little bit of magic.
I'd never seen him before, obviously, because he's a Kiwi, isn't he? Is he a Kiwi?
No.
No.
It's from Brisbane. He's a
Right,
Queenslander.
Is he got the Indigenous mouthguard, is he? I don't know.
We should find that out, maybe. Maybe one of our busy producers in the background there could just look up. Because I'd never really heard of Reece Walsh leading into this year, and then someone said there's this gun young halfback they're going to let go as well, and I'm thinking, well, you know, they let Tom Dearden go and they've let Sam Walker go. I'm thinking, oh, you know. And then I saw him play and just went...
So he was born in Sydney and raised on the Gold Coast.
He's a Blue. How long was he in Sydney for?
We'll find that out later, hey?
Couldn't care less if he's been here for 2 weeks. Still a Blue.
Yes or no, will the Raiders make the finals? I like that one. Very hard from here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looks like they're battling.
Yeah.
Looks like it's a tough place to be.
I tipped them last week in an upset because I just thought maybe they'll come good at home. And at 10-0, I was on very good terms with myself.
Yeah.
They got beat 34-10.
34 unanswered points at home. In the cold, freezing.
2 tries come from kicks. Rapana's back this week, which is good. Hodgson's back this
Jack
week.
Whiten's
Wyden's back this week. So I see Soliola's back this week.
Have you tipped him against the Roosters? No,
No.
you haven't. I have. This game's at the Central Coast too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long drive from Canberra.
Longer trip home when you win.
Imagine you're back.
Do we need to see Gus eat a hot dog ever again?
Oh, look at it. Yeah, I could watch that.
Did Gus know we were filming him do this?
Look at that. Have we?
Get into it, Gussie.
There used to be this place in Newcastle, and when I walk home,
There's no sauce on it.
from there'd be sauce in there. You just
He sucked the sauce through.
The old Gus Meister. Yeah, go on.
I used to have this guy used to have a hot dog, and he'd always real crunchy bread rolls, and then he'd melt cheese on the top and just cover it in tomato sauce. You'd be walking home
Where's this at?
in Newey back in the day.
On the drink.
Yeah, and then you wake up in the morning and you'd have it all over your shirt. There'd be bits of cheese up there, cheese from the
And your palate, there'd be missing a couple of layers of
just
skin.
burnt.
It's the worst.
Oh,
When
it's
you
the
get
best.
a pie at the footy and oh!
The first bite takes the first layer and you think, oh, it's okay. That was that nice. Sacrificing
One of the
skin.
things I miss most during COVID, when you go to Leichhardt and you walk up Mary Street
Yeah.
and the people are outside cooking the hot dogs.
Yeah.
On the
There's
corner.
been no one there anymore.
Same thing, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
This are going.
All right.
Well, they used to have, in the old days, they'd have the hot dog man next to the dude selling the Big League magazines.
That's
the Big
footy.
League
I miss the
magazines.
big
are
league
cool.
mags. You're watching the lower grades and you're going, geez, he plays well. What's his name?
Yeah.
There's actually a good free online mag out. I'll print it out for you on the weekend.
I haven't got a computer.
Yeah, I'll print it for you. Serious one. Chad Townsend dropped this week for the Sharks. Will the Cowboys get 3 whole years of quality football out of him?
I think so. I think the
Buzzer.
I think if he goes up there and finishes strong, like I think sometimes I see players finish like they want to finish, with a job, or I see some players finish and sprint to the end who end up getting the job. I hope he's that because it's a good place up there, and I like when they're going well. They get great crowds. They're good for our game.
3 years a long time, Andrew.
I think 2 good years out of him, but the 3rd year.
Straight
Slowed up a
bit,
little.
mate.
Slowed up a little bit.
Father Time is unbeaten.
No one beats Father Time.
Except Phil Mickelson beat Father Time. Did
What
you
did
see
he do?
that? Won the US PGA yesterday at 50.
Really?
He's the oldest golf major winner ever by 4 years.
Doesn't look like an athlete. I haven't seen Phil
Phil
lately.
Mickelson. Haven't you
He
seen
look
him?
fit.
Mate,
Looks great.
he's ripped. Yeah.
Good on him.
Go and pull some pictures up when we get
He
off there.
lefty.
Lefty.
And he's got a wedge that's like that. He just goes and
He's-
smashes it. It just goes.
He's outstanding. He's brilliant around the greens.
You're a Phil Mickelson fan.
Golf.
Okay,
Golf is for fat ass accountants
have a look at this
or
clip.
commentators.
Have a look at this clip.
Oh, I can't take him off, Bob. I can't take him off. That's what I was saying. Maybe lock them door and turn the light down.
Boys, does Josh Adokar make a good cowboy/country singer?
I think he does. Charlie Pride. Look at him.
How do you put up with this bloke for 6 weeks in Origin?
Oh, he's
he would just
best.
rip the light. He's highly entertaining. How do you keep up with his energy?
Well, when him and Fergo were together, that was full on. That was heavy. It was like scaring. Every time you walked around a corner, someone was scaring you. It was unreal.
Why are they scaring you? Brad, I'm pregnant.
Lucky that's never happened before. Andrew.
Yes.
You've got a big job to do with the New South Wales team because injuries and suspensions, you've got your replacement players that you can put in today and a mulligan selection. So one you can change. The big news is that Cam Murray's been named for South this week. Huge.
What are the suspensions doing?
Okay,
Well,
so
Victor.
Victor's suspended.
Victor's gone till 2023.
That's right, for tackling too hard.
Tackling too hard.
Angus Crichton is yet to face the judiciary, and as we record here, we don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
Because
So he's charged 2 weeks. He's getting a downgrade. He wants 1
trying
week.
to get a downgrade. Yeah, that's right.
I thought it was grade 1.
Anyway, let's leave Angus Crichton in,
Okay.
pending judiciary outcome.
Okay. Well, then it all changes, the dynamics of the bench.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
Are you going to fall over?
no, I've got these footy boots on. Got my Indigenous boots on. Now, I've changed these around. So I've thought about Turbo, and he's wasted on the wing because in Origin and wing, a lot of them is just playing like a front row, just doing hit-ups on play 2 after their kick downfield. So he's gone. So in for Turbo to go into the centres, and then someone else rooming him with those two rooming together. He's reckon Josh Addo-Carr and Toto would go. I'd like $1 for every time I heard the word bruh. Far out. I don't know what.
Oh, I'm glad you said far out.
Yeah.
So you can leave Cam Murray then now?
Well, I had Tyson in the back row here. So Tyson,
Okay.
if anything happens
Tyson's
there.
back in the back row.
Yep. Right. Isaiah Yeo goes onto the bench. Pappenhausen's busted still, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So my benchy is Jackie Boy Bird.
Right.
He's been going really well. Well, Victor's gone till 2024 because he tackles too hard. So Jakey Boy goes in there. And my 18th man,
Who's that?
Josh Schuster.
Whoa.
Bring a young player in who, I knew he was a talented player. What I saw on the weekend, this bloke is really special.
What position's Josh Schuster? What's his best position?
5'8".
5'8"?
Yep. Which would suit Origin because he's a big body. So I think it'd be good for him to be around the camp because playing Origin, it's all about handling the camp and that sort of stuff. Jack Bird, I think he's been in great form, Jack, coming back from those knee injuries. And you can play Jack anywhere. Play him anywhere in the backs, you can play in the back row. Front row rotation. Isaiah Yeo also covers all positions, pretty much every position on the field. He went on in Game 3 last year. You play centre there for a while, and he won the game.
So you get a mulligan selection too. You're happy with everything else? You're not looking at the halves again? Does Jerome Luai put a bigger case up than he had a couple of weeks back?
Well, I think so, but I just think Jack... Depends how Jack goes this weekend. I just get it feeling up there Saturday night against the Roosters, he's going to have a big game.
Okay. So, Frizzell into the back row if either of those two aren't available.
Yep.
Jake comes in at lock for no Victor Radley. It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. Well done.
Coruscant maybe somewhere. I was thinking maybe Coruscant here.
Yeah, right.
The Badiris wing. 2 dummy halves, different dummy halves.
Okay, Ray Martin. Matt Burton.
Wow.
Now, I know you're a fan. It'd be hard not to be a fan watching him play. He's a perfect 14, isn't he?
I think also Joey spoke about the 18. Plays lots of positions.
Apologies. I missed Tavita Pangai Jr. I think he might be thereabouts somewhere.
Right, okay.
So Burton?
But
is he in the conversation?
Actually, Joey was talking about Owen Craigie, saying that they'd be running one way, but the ball would bounce to Owen Craigie. It seems like Matt Burton's got the same problem where the ball keeps bouncing towards him.
Yeah.
He just keeps scoring tries, doesn't he?
He's in the right place at the right time all the time. He's a really good player. His defence looks sound. The one thing they do really well is work off the ball for each other. That's one thing you've got to do in Origin. You've got to work pretty hard. So he's a...
So has his name popped up?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's that 14 position. You sort of just got to see what positions you can cover and all that. But I've just liked him because I remember he came in last year.
Yeah.
Every time he came in, he was pretty much the best player on the field. And then they went with Luai and everyone questioned that. But every time he came in, he was the best player. And now he's got the position and he's like one of the best players every week. He's just looks like he's unflappable.
How are you going to handle the high tackle crackdown?
No, it's not up to me.
No, how are you going to handle preparing your team,
well,
knowing the likelihood is that the same rules are going to be enforced?
I think they understand, how crucial it is to have 12 players. We've played with 12 players plenty of times. The good sides can cover it. There's tactics around it and there's ways you can do it, but obviously you also suck a lot of juice when you've got 12 players. So, but hopefully we don't get down to that. Hopefully we stick within the parameters and the key is, I reckon, the ref just handling the accidental ones compared to the ones that I think are just thuggery. And I think the quality players these days realise what the difference is and the players will get it right.
What was your reaction watching Radley at the weekend?
I thought some of them were a little bit out of control.
Which ones? That one?
Yeah, but that's the way he
that was a
plays
different one. This one I thought wasn't a penalty. Although this is ridiculous. That being called head contact, that's crazy. I didn't think the Albert Kelly. I didn't see much contact in that at all. I thought he got that right. I thought the Pangai one was that was an old school. He'd been running at Sam Walker, so but Victor's got to learn. He can still do the same tackle. If he was that far lower, he gets the same impact and doesn't put his team under pressure. So that's Victor's problem, not anyone else's. But I agreed with the manner in which what he tried to do.
But the sum total of all of that at the weekend is that he's facing 4 to 6 weeks out.
That's right. So Victor's got to...
But even for someone who's an advocate of this crackdown, that's too much, isn't it?
Well, not for what they're trying to do. And the fact is they've had a couple of weeks to learn and to work on that. So, like I said, I thought 2 of them weren't a problem. The one on Pangai I thought was an obvious problem. And that's the one where he gets 3 weeks and there's loading and all that involved with that as well. So
how's his loading now? He gets 4 to 6 weeks.
I don't know what his loading is now.
So is there going to be an asterisk next to your loading because it's during this ridiculous crackdown period?
I don't think so.
Anyway.
I don't think so.
Against?
Yes, I think we've established that.
I think we can tell.
Yeah.
Origin at the MCG. It is a bucket list event. If you're a footy fan, you've got to get there at some stage. And the tickets are on sale now for a game that's not too far away. Tickets for Origin 1 at nrl.com/tickets. The MCG for State of Origin. They do embrace it, and it is a wonderful venue for all sport, particularly when it's packed, and no doubt it will be for Origin 1. Fast 5 time. Ready to roll?
Let's go.
Albert Kelly and Adam Reynolds, the Broncos' long-term halves pairing.
I've got to say, Albert Kelly was extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Really happy with the way he went. It was great.
You've always liked him, haven't you?
Yeah, I like him.
Well,
he's a footy player.
He can play. That's the thing. Gets his ball in his hands and just goes at him.
I think their thinking is Katoni Staggs at 6 going forward.
Well, I haven't seen Katoni as a 5'8", but I've only ever seen him as a centre. But for me, currently...
He played for Tonga when they beat Australia there.
Played halfback.
Yeah, in the halves. I think he's a better centre, I think.
Now, great scenes at the weekend. The Silk Tails captain was selected to go from Ron Massey Cup up into New South Wales Cup. This is how his teammates embraced that decision. that's the captain of the Silk Tails, Panioni Tagatuamua, who has picked the play for North Sydney. How about that?
Well, they're the same guys when they're on quarantine. We're out in the verandas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
When they had the launch, a few fellows come up to me and they were part of that
Group.
the thing we did when we were over there.
Yeah.
And they're the captain. It's part of that group, so they're fantastic. They're doing a good job, aren't they? What? We know their record.
Don't ask me. But talk about a team that sticks together. They're unreal.
They sound awesome.
Don't they? The Roosters, how are they going to manage Sam Walker and Joseph Suwali for the rest of the year? Suwali's named in 21 for this week, so not in the 17. Sam Walker stays in the number 7. Joey, that's his hardest assignment at NRL level the weekend just gone. They really, particularly Tavita Pangai.
Tavita got at him. It was good coaching from, it was great coaching from Kevin Walters. The way they had bodies in motion that isolated Sam, which got Tavita one-on-one with him.
Is he due for some time off, or are you happy
Well, next
for him
week
to
they're
keep
going to
going?
buy.
Okay.
So
He's had that busted shoulder too.
I think he's pretty much carried that into the season. Every
You
time
see him, he's got the
he's-
padding up there. It's just an AC thing which you can play with. But I've got to say, Sam, he held his gloves up. He didn't shy away. Mate, he's made of some good stuff, this young guy.
Be good to get him in 2 years' time when he's had 2 pre-seasons and no major injuries, you watch a difference in just the way he looks.
I went to
It'll
the
be
game.
amazing.
I actually went to the SCG the other night to watch Joseph Suwali, just to watch him off the ball. And I was watching him in warm-up. My gosh, what an athlete.
Yeah?
Oh, you should see him. It's just, when he runs, it's just poetry in motion. And his vertical jump, it's like watching Israel when Israel was
Did you see Xavier Coates, that photo?
Oh, yeah.
What about that?
Yeah. It's amazing athletes playing.
Oh, the leap for
Yeah.
where he got up on the shoulders.
Oh, Joseph Swaley, I
Should have
get
put
that.
I should have put a
straight on the
saddle on
wall.
there.
Yeah.
And
That was something. Can you call the premiership a 2-horse race before an Origin game's played?
Well, you can at the moment, but there's always a smoky that comes out of the pack. That could be Manly. I understand Manly's next 2 months, on paper, are very, very winnable games. So if they keep everyone fit, especially how the 2 Trebojevic boys come back after Origin.
Cherry Evans has made his game's grown as well.
Schuster on that left side on the weekend, I was actually blown away by his skill.
When you highlighted how he straightens the attack,
Yeah.
just explain in layman's terms what you're talking about there.
Well, imagine when you're running towards the sideline, the defenders are chasing you across the sideline. However, if you're going across, but then all of a sudden you straighten your run, then it straightens the defence, which then creates room on the outside
Right.
for the likes of Trebojevic. But his ball playing, the way he got in the line, you see there, the way he straightens it, he's really special. He's a really special talent. The no-look passing, but the way he gets into... Because rugby league's a combative sport. Yeah? So if you get the ball and you eyeball a defender, it's subconsciously a challenge. So if you can get their eyes, they look at you. And that's what he's doing. He's going at him and then... Whew.
And you watch the bloke in front, turns like that to him. And the moment he turns like that, he's out of place, gone. So then they're only dealing with the others.
Fascinating, those little intricacies in the game. Tommy Turbo, 6 points behind Nathan Cleary in the Dally M, and he missed the first month. He could still win it. I mean, the way he's going, he will win it. Talk about a 2-horse race.
I
Cleary
think,
and Trebojevic.
Who else is up there?
I think Gutho was up there.
A few blokes having good seasons.
But, it's on form. It's those two at the moment.
Oh, both of them. They've just gone... Turbo the last month is just... And then I think his best game was on the weekend against Para.
He's surging at the front row.
He just ran straight at Junior Paulo and went over the top of Junior. I just thought, what?
RTS is up there as well, who's moved to the wing for Reece Walsh to start at fullback.
What a team player, Roger.
Seriously, yeah. All right, boys. I want to delve a little bit into Parramatta and South Sydney, particularly South, beaten by 50 twice in the space of 3 weeks.
Is there a stat that no one's ever been beat by 50 and won the comp?
Yeah.
Correct. So therefore, a team that's had 50 points conceded has never won the comp.
Right.
So therefore, a team that's done it twice has never won the comp either. I mean, Wayne Bennett is brilliant with a sense of timing for his teams heading into the finals, but I can't remember a team he's ever coached that has defended so poorly.
Do you think the whole Adam Reynolds saga has got to him a little bit? You know, obviously Latrell was out and they've had a lot of players out, Campbell Graham, Cam Murray. Do you feel like it all it's over the last couple of weeks has just got to them?
I don't know about that. I think it just hit a flat spot, and without their best players, especially Cam Murray. Look, Cam Murray, what he does for the team around the middle of the field.
He was the only one missing at the weekend, though, of their big gun players.
They've been poor. They've been poor for about a month. Was it the big loss when Melbourne got him? Wayne said he thought this was coming a couple of weeks previous. I think they'll be thereabouts. Get everyone back, and with Wayne's sense of timing and magic, they've got so many good players there.
And Parramatta, and I know you've got a vested interest here, but they've really had the acid poured on them twice this year against the Dragons and again on the weekend, and they've come up short on both occasions.
It's only 2 games, though. You know, they've won 9. So on 9 times they've put the acid on the other team. So, this was a big game and it was a fair build-up and it was a failure. Manly were quite convincing. They had their opportunities, Parramatta, but Manly defence turned them away plenty of times.
It's all down that side of the field. Wanga Blake and Blake Ferguson just weren't connecting defensively.
Well, there has been some great tries this year. At the weekend, we saw some more outstanding tries, particularly the wingers. They are freaks. Let's have a look at some of the best from last weekend.
What a try for Jack Murchie! Manly have got the ball and put it over the line.
Although Melbourne now with a bit of work to do here, and that's a wonderful chase and then tap on from Curtis Scott to Valame as the ball stays alive. George Williams now kicking into open space. Here comes Simonson. What a try! What a try! Bailey Simonson!
He did really well, as did Roger. To Ivasashek, down the sideline. Beautiful pass for Jack Murchie. What a try. Outspeeds Madison, kicks ahead, and Gutleson's there and coming across. Manly have got the ball and put it over the line. Parker's got his second, I think.
Yes, some beauties again at the weekend. That one in Canberra, they got dusted up. That was a heck of a try, the first one.
It was a beauty.
Yeah, thought they're back here, the Green Machine. Let's talk about the Panthers. Now, it's almost unthinkable that we could be asking the question whether a team can go through undefeated in a home and away season. Peter Sterling said they're a juggernaut, which I think is a pretty accurate description. Unbeaten, of course, so far this year, and they've got Dogs, Tigers, Sharks, Roosters coming up, albeit through an origin period. That's going to be their test. However, we've put together a potential Penrith team minus their origin stars throughout the origin period. Let's have a look and see how strong or how much they're losing going through this origin period.
They've got tremendous depth, haven't they?
Halves are still good.
Well, their halves still good. They're outside backs. You've still got Charlie Stone, Steve Crichton, Momorowski, Jennings, Dylan Edwards. And then the forwards, you've got your front row. Leota, Fisher-Harris. The back row's a little bit changed. Sorensen, I like Sorensen as a player. They've got that young Spencer Leniu, who I love as a player.
Have a look at that bench. I coached a few of those blokes. Jamin Salmon, obviously, from Cronulla, went to Para, now out at Penrith. Plays a bit of 5'8", can play in other positions. Yeah. Lindsey Smith, he's coached him in the junior teams. He was like your hard-working middle player, very skillful. I'll tell you what he was, Matt. He was a great cricketer.
He was.
Chose rugby league.
He sounds like a hard-working player.
Oh, he is, mate. Really good fella. Spencer Lunu, obviously, you just mentioned, and is it Blacker?
Eddie Blacker came over from the Dragons.
From the Dragons.
So, look, that's just like having a throw at the stumps with who they may or may not have there. But, the depth in that's a good NRL team in its own right.
Yep.
Well, think back to 1990 for me, Freddie. You got beaten in the grand final there, and if memory serves, you came out in 91, and it was almost similar to this current Penrith team. Full of belief.
We didn't lose many.
Beat up everyone.
Yeah.
There's similarities there.
I think especially when you're young, a lot of those blokes out of Penrith and I played were very young as well. It was a group that come up together. And, that pain of sitting on a field at the end of a grand final, it drives you. And when you get back to the pre-season, you can just feel the decisions made that we're going to get better. So to get beat, other teams have to get a lot better. And they've gotten better, and no one's caught them yet.
Can they do it? Could you go?
Undefeated?
Yeah.
Undefeated?
I think they can.
I think they'll stumble somewhere. I don't know if it's a stumble, but, you know, I think especially, you know, you get a couple of sim bins and you don't know what's going to happen. So I find it's a long season to be going undefeated, but...
No injuries at the moment, have they?
They work so well. Because, of course, they work hard for each other off the ball. So
That's why
it's
they don't
so
get
evenly...
injured.
Everyone's evenly balanced. You haven't got one person stressing and doing extra while someone's been a bit lazy. Mate, they're all working. Look at them all move. Every shot you play of Penrith, if you had a high shot, they're all moving. Look in the background, moving.
Apart from the one bloke there who's standing still.
Oh, they're scoring a try, brother.
So you're saying that their good run with injury is related a lot to what they do off the ball. There's no one player who's absorbing the bulk of the work.
Yes. And I reckon they're unstressed. They're not taking any stress onto the field. I reckon their training sessions would be fun and they wouldn't be stressed. And like, the difference between when you're going to work sometimes, well, you know what it's like when the team's flowing and other times when they're not.
You're talking my stress.
Your stress. But, you know, and I'm sure your body stiffens up. They just look relaxed and they're playing accordingly.
New segment. It's called The Complete Package. It's a bit like our friends at Mazda. This week, we're going to kick off with Nathan Cleary. And the question is he Australia's starting halfback for the next 10 years?
At least.
Feels that way.
Just get the feeling him and Sam Walker will go head-to-head in years to come.
I think this year's Origin Series is very important for him because the current halfback's Daly Cherry Evans. So I think the bearing of Origin always normally, whoever wins normally gets the bulk of the Australian team.
He's just absolutely playing at another level.
What have you seen in the last couple of seasons, Joey, in terms of the evolution of his game that makes him that complete
create more? I always saw the really smart footy player, great kicking game, great organiser. But this year, he's creating far more opportunities and taking more risks, more calculated risks, but also his running game. He's just taking them on. You know, that's when you're on, when you're picking the right times to run as a halfback. Everything he's touching is just turned into gold.
Great defender too.
Got it all.
Good. Works well. He's got, who's on the right with him? Crichton.
Crichton chops and changes. He just goes
He went to fullback.
Yeah.
So Momorowski will be with him. Is Dylan Edwards back?
He's playing this week, yep.
Right.
Oh, no, he's not. Sorry, no, Crichton's a fullback. Games this week. Broncos Storm, Thursday night footy at Suncorp. Oh, no, you were teasing. I heard you do your tips earlier and you said you were tipping the Broncos.
No Lodge. Well, Lodge made one of the big differences. He took on Big Jared and Victor and those blokes and he sort of upset them a little bit.
I like their bench.
Got all emotional.
Bullymore, I think he's a really good player. I really like Flegler as a player. Really like him. Look, I think Melbourne will win, but I think this game's going to be a lot tighter than people think.
Anthony
Milford's
back.
I just feel, God knows where his head's at the moment. But the only one that can turn around's him.
Yep.
You know, he's a good player, train hard and get out there and run the ball.
Well, Albert Kelly went back to pre-season. I think he was over 100 kilos and Kevy said, go lose some weight. Did he lose 13 kilos?
I don't know. It looks fit.
It was a great return to the
Great
NRL.
story.
West Tigers versus Dragons, Bankwest Friday night football. Didn't they play 2 weeks ago? Wollongong. It's about 3 weeks.
That's
It
right.
was.
They did too.
Adam Dewey carved them up. They're playing again.
Yeah.
One of the quirks of the draw.
That was a bad day for the Dragons, wasn't it?
That was a shocker.
Oh, poor.
I'm going to go the Tigers here. Too many injuries for the Dragons, suspensions.
Tarek Sims is back in.
I don't know whether the Dufty announcement will affect him or the team. He's a good player, Nofaluma, isn't he?
Gee, the Tigers could use Matt Dufty. They could play him at fullback and Dane Laurie at 5'8". That'd give him some points.
Dane Laurie 5'8", never thought of that.
Didn't he play halves through juniors?
Oh, mate, you could play him anywhere.
He's a good player.
Maybe except front row.
And then Knights Manly. Sunday footy up at McDonald Jones Stadium. Big crowd there as always. And the Knights certainly need all the help they can get at the moment, particularly against Manly, who are riding high at the moment. Before we go, very sad news at the weekend, the passing of Rugby League immortal Bob Fulton. And I thought a great way to just get some thoughts from you two would be talk about the 1995 World Cup when you captained Australia as a very young man, and you played for Australia for the first time under Bob Fulton. And, of course, the most notable part of that campaign was all the Super League players were out. So you took a vastly inexperienced team over, and they didn't treat you very well, did they? What was were you kicked off training grounds and...
It was just one of those tours where we left and no one gave us a hope, and the Kiwis had a very strong team. I do remember part of that Kiwis game where they scored on the sideline. Mate Ridge had a kick to pretty much send us home. He missed it pretty poorly, actually, and then he went for a field goal.
Duffed it, didn't he?
Duffed it. Then went for a field goal, and I went to charge him down, and we actually was nearly standing next to each other. He kicked it left-footed. I'm going home. And then it just faded. It started to fade. And then...
So that was that a final or was that a...
That was a semi.
That was at Huddersfield.
Yeah.
McCulp won.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Great tour. And you know what? He relaxed everyone, Bose. You know, he always trained pretty hard with Bose, but he'd always allow you to enjoy it as well. Got the balance right in Test footy for sure.
Well, you saw the way his brain worked differently to other coaches. He was the first one to play myself defending at hooker and packing into the scrums, and then in attack we'd swap. Jeff Tuvey would go to dummy half and I'd play first receiver. You reckon that was tough, defending at hooker and then playing halfback in attack? So Tuvs didn't have to do much tackling. Didn't get that's when they headbutted in the scrums.
It was
great.
It was good. I've got some really good memories, I think. There was one where
a big vote of confidence in you, wasn't it, at that stage?
How old were you then?
Well, the first time he chose me as an 18-year-old. Though I remember seeing Wally Lewis actually run up and down with a broken arm, and they cancelled him out. And I got picked 18, and then I was 23 when he made me captain. So
close to the youngest captain Australia's ever had, I'd say.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
It was yeah.
It's funny though, like
playing at Wembley. We played at the old Wembley. The final.
That was
incredible. Land of hope and glory when you're coming out. I always say to my Pommy mates who I played with at Warrington, when we used to walk out to Land of Hope and Glory, I thought they were singing, "We're going to beat you by 40." That's what we'd be singing. Oh, you're a convict.
Some of those really tough sort of coaches, like tough exterior, Bozo and like even Gus to a degree and Wayne Bennett, the public persona obviously doesn't match what happens inside the dressing room. How does it's amazing how they sort of that persona is shifted aside, and those three guys in particular. You guys have been coached by all of them, and you've got a close relationship as player coach with all of them.
Well, the one thing, if you look at all their sides, they're always happy. They have this ability to be able to, like you just said, have the two images of people looking outside in and thinking, you know, having an opinion, but always inside out. It's a happy team because they always put their players first. I remember he loved golf. Good golfer, loved golf. And I remember the first time I was captain, everyone would go in and they'd go and get three free balls, a glove or, you know, and then walk out. And I went to walk in, he goes, "Just stand back." So they all went in there and got their little golf balls and come out, and then me and Bo walked in. We've come out with brand new shoes on. I had the G. Norman hat on, glove, mate, just decked out in new gear.
The go-karting, you love the go-karting.
Yeah, he loved he knew how to have a good time. He had plenty of sort of like kid in him still, you know, like love go-kart, love golf, you know, and...
hunting as well.
Oh, yeah.
Big shooting.
Yeah.
Very sad. Bob Fulton, rest in peace, one of the game's inaugural immortals. Thanks, boys. I think Brace is back next week, so I appreciate having me.
Thanks for your time, Matt.
Yeah, excellent. Great to see you.
See you at the footy.
Not just behind the microphone, but excellent. Where are we? Indigenous round. Get out there, support your team, buy a jersey.
Good wheels.
You won't get the boots, but...
Darren Dunn, look him up.
Yeah. Enjoy your Indigenous round.
See you all later.